Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the report that came out from JP Finley that he does not expect the Washington football team to pursue Cam Newton this offseason, and we'll also talk about the report that came out that says that the Raiders are most likely going to have to release quarterback Marcus Mariota, and we'll talk about if the Washington football team should try to sign him. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so first let's talk about the Cam Newton news, and then after that we'll talk about Marcus Mariota. So JP Finley reported this today on his Twitter page. He said, Washington didn't go after Cam Newton in 2020, and from sources I've talked to, don't expect that to change in 2021. And in his article, he was just talking about, they had the opportunity last season to get Cam Newton for a very cheap amount, and they didn't do that. They, kept Dwayne Haskins. And in fact, they actually traded for Kyle Allen. If they really like Cam Newton, they could have had Cam Newton as like a bridge quarterback on a one-year contract for Dwayne Haskins. But they didn't end up doing that. So, a lot of people, or some people, want Cam Newton to come to Washington. And, you can point to this season that he didn't have a lot of weapons, but at the end of the day, he just didn't look like the old, the Cam Newton from 2015, 2016, 2017. Played in 15 games, had about 7.2 yards per pass, 2,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, an 82.9 pass rating. Just didn't have a great season. Obviously, had terrible weapons, but you could see, he just didn't have it anymore, or at least, what definitely wasn't close to what he was in 2015, 2016. He still was able to rush the ball, though. Had about 600 yards, 12 touchdowns. They just barely, they just ran the ball almost every single time, and he didn't really pass the ball that much. Had about a 65% completion percentage, but I just don't really see much, with Cam Newton. He has a little bit of upside, obviously. In 2018, played at a pretty high level before, he had that shoulder injury. And 2017, he's obviously had some great years, especially 2015, but he's been a little bit on the downswing. And if our room was, Cam Newton, Taylor Heinicke, and Kyle Allen, I just don't really like that, because I don't really see any upside in that, because like I said, Cam Newton is on the downswing. At least with someone like Marcus Mariota, or maybe Jameis Winston, or even Sam Darnold, they still have a lot of talent, and they're still really, really young and have a chance to, get better. Cam Newton really doesn't have that. He's a little bit older, has been in the league since 2011. So he's been in the league for a very long time, and that's just why I wouldn't necessarily go after Cam Newton. Do I think he could play better than he did in 2020? Definitely. I mean, the quarterback, or the, weapons he had in New England were not great at all, and I think if he plays there another year, he'll have better, more success if some of their opt-outs come back, and, they have a lot of cap space. But I just don't really like the fit here in Washington, just with the direction we're going in. I'd rather go after someone with a lot more upside. That's just me, though. Let me know what you guys think about Cam Newton, and I'm not sure what the contract would look like, but I just don't see it happening. Like JP Finley said, they had a chance to get him last offseason, and they did not end up doing that. So I would highly doubt that Washington ends up, signing Cam Newton as their, starting quarterback this season. And if we do sign him, that probably does mean he is the starter. And I personally, honestly, rather have Kyle Allen or maybe even Taylor Heinicke as our starter than Cam Newton. Obviously, also, Cam Newton has a lot of injury history, at least the last few years, 2019, 2018, and 2017. He didn't miss many games and didn't miss any games in 2017, but was playing through a lot of injuries. 2018 had that shoulder injury, and then had some more injuries in 2019, only playing 2 games. So that is another concern with Cam Newton. But, some people want him. So now let's talk about Marcus Mariota. So yesterday, Ian Rapport had a pretty interesting report. He reported that, Marcus Mariota, who is the Raiders' backup quarterback, has generated a lot of interest from teams, but the max value of his contract has been an issue for teams trade talks have slowed down considerably, and could he be eventually released? And he said, it is heading down that path, especially since, Mariota's value could go up to $22 million, if he starts over 12 games and has a pretty good season if we trade for him. And if you do trade for him, obviously you're going to have to give up a 4th, 5th round pick, maybe a little bit less than that. So not only are you going to have to give up some, draft capital, but you're also going to be paying, starter money for a quarterback that, is a bridge quarterback who maybe he has some potential, but you don't want to be paying $20+ million for a quarterback that you don't know if he can be a solid starter for you this season. So that's going to be interesting, and it looks like there's definitely a solid chance that he does get released. And if he gets released, then Washington, all they have to do is give him a contract. They don't have to give up anything else. And, if they do end up trading for him, a lot of people, John Kine, Ben Standig, have said it's probably going to be around a 5th round pick, which is not much at all. You look at Marcus Mariota's stats this past season with the Raiders, only played in 1 game, had a pretty solid game, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but did have 88 rushing yards and a touchdown. Had a pretty good game for the Titans, for the Raiders, and they almost beat the Chargers after Derek Carr got hurt. 2019 didn't have a really good year, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, got benched for Ryan Tannehill. The year before had a 69% completion percentage, which is pretty good, but didn't have a great touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, you start 14 games and only throw 11 touchdowns. That is not good at all. You want to be above 20. 2017 didn't have a great year at all, and 2016 was his best year by far. 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So he had a really good year that year. And, he obviously fits the mold of a dual threat quarterback for Washington. I mean, in 1 game this year, had 88 yards and probably, averages around 320, 330 yards per season. And, gets a couple touchdowns per season as well. So he's a dual threat quarterback and would be a solid bridge, could get you 7, 8, 9+ wins this year. And you could get him for relatively cheap, and maybe you end up going after your quarterback of the future next year in free agency or in the draft. That's just something, to consider, especially if you can get Marcus Mariota for very cheap and that contract isn't too expensive. You bring him in to compete against Heineke and Allen, or if you sign him in free agency, then that contract isn't too bad, and you can let him battle it out with Heineke and Kyle Allen and, see who's the best quarterback for the job. Obviously, Allen and Heineke are going to have the leg up in terms of they already know the system, but Marcus Mariota, this system does fit him pretty well, in my opinion, and I would not be too upset with him coming to DC just because of the cost, and he does have that upside that you want. I mean, players like Tyrod Taylor, guys like that, they don't have much upside. They're just a bridge quarterback. Marcus Mariota is a bridge quarterback with the potential of some upside. So let me know what you guys think about these 2 different quarterbacks. Cam Newton, I think, very unlikely that he comes here like JP Finley said. And Marcus Mariota is definitely one of the leading contenders to be, the starting quarterback here, or at least someone that we bring in. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and peace.